Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into the story of Bangladesh, a nation that's as rich, colorful, and complex as you can possibly imagine. Let's get into it. One of our sources put it in a way that just sticks with you. The smell of the soil, the smiles of its people, the poetry of its rivers. That really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? This isn't just about geography or history, it's about a feeling. A nation shaped by its earth, its people, and its powerful connection to water. So here's our roadmap. We'll start with the land itself, the rivers that define it. Then we'll get into the incredible history that forged its identity. After that, we'll dive into the culture, explore the country's natural beauty, and wrap up with its amazing economic journey. All right, first up, the geography. Because to get Bangladesh, you first have to understand its relationship with water. It's not just a feature on a map, it's everything. It's the lifeblood of the country. Okay, so picture this. Tucked away in South Asia, right between India and Myanmar, you've got this huge river delta spilling into the Bay of Bengal. That's Bangladesh. And the real story here, it's the rivers. The Padma, the Meghna, and the Jamuna. Seriously, these are way more than just rivers. They're the country's lifelines. They create the incredibly fertile soil, they control how people travel and trade, and they set the entire rhythm of daily life for millions. And that land, carved out by those mighty rivers, is completely tied to the story of its people. And what a story it is. It's a story of intense struggle, of incredible sacrifice. A nation truly forged in fire and a fight for its own voice. This timeline really shows you the key steps. After almost 200 years under British rule, the 1947 partition of India happened. It created this strange new country, Pakistan, in two parts, with the eastern wing, what would become Bangladesh, separated by more than 1,000 miles of India. But look at that next date, 1952. That's the real spark. That's when everything changed. This was so much more than a protest. This was a fight for the nation's soul. The government declared that Urdu would be the only national language, but the vast majority of people spoke Bengali. So they rose up. And here's the crucial part. On February 21st, student protesters, people like Salam, Barkat, and Rafiq, were killed. Their sacrifice turned a political protest into an unstoppable movement for cultural freedom. I mean, just think about that for a second. A fight over a language that was so powerful, so profound, it actually inspired the entire world. It's why UNESCO later declared that exact day, February 21st, as International Mother Language Day. It's a global day of recognition that all started with a struggle on the streets of Dhaka. So, out of that fight for identity, this incredibly vibrant and unique culture really came into its own. Let's talk about the people who are the beating heart of Bangladesh today. And what a heart it is. We're talking about roughly 170 million people. That makes Bangladesh one of the most densely populated places on the entire planet. It's this incredible mosaic of stories and traditions, and yeah, those smiles of its people that we talked about right at the start. Now, if you look at the religious demographics, the country is overwhelmingly Muslim. But, and this is important, it has a really long, proud history of diversity. You have large Hindu communities and smaller Buddhist and Christian populations, all woven into the nation's rich cultural tapestry. And the culture here runs deep. You can literally hear it in the mystical, wandering songs of the Baul musicians. And you can feel it in the epic folk songs called Jari Sari. You can sense its depth in the philosophy of Lalan. You can even taste it in traditional sweets like pitha and payesh. This is a culture that was shaped by absolute giants of literature, from Nobel Prize winner Rabindranath Tagore to the national poet Qazi Nazrul Islam. And you see all these traditions just explode with life during the big national celebrations. This is where history and culture really come together. You have the solemn remembrance for the language martyrs on Ekoshe February, and then the complete opposite, the explosion of color and joy for Pohela Boishakh, the Bengali New Year. And of course, huge religious festivals like Eid and Durga Puja are celebrated with this amazing community spirit all over the country. Okay, so let's zoom out a bit. Beyond the bustling cities and quiet villages, Bangladesh is also a place of absolutely stunning natural beauty and fascinating history. Let's take a traveler's view. And wow, what treasures you'll find. This is just a taste. You've got Cox's Bazar, which is, believe it or not, the world's longest natural, unbroken sea beach. Then there's the Sundarbans, this mysterious, sprawling mangrove forest that's home to the legendary Royal Bengal tiger. You've got St. Martin's Island, this beautiful little coral island, and way up in the hills, Sajik Valley, which they call the Kingdom of Clouds. And if you want a sense of deep time, the ancient ruins at Mahastangar tell stories from civilizations that existed thousands of years ago. So we've covered the land, the history, the people, the culture. That brings us to the final and maybe most surprising piece of the puzzle, the story of modern Bangladesh. This is a story of pure resilience, of ambition, and of mind-blowing economic growth. So what's fueling all this? Well, it really comes down to three main pillars. First, the ready-made garments industry, the RMG sector. It is an absolute powerhouse, driving the country's exports. Second, agriculture. It's still the bedrock, feeding this huge population. And third, remittances. That's the money sent home by millions of Bangladeshis working all over the world, a vital lifeline for the economy. And look, this isn't just a local success story. The whole world has taken notice. When major players like the World Bank and the IMF label Bangladesh an emerging economy, what they're really doing is acknowledging decades of unbelievable hard work that has pulled millions of people out of poverty and set the entire nation on a whole new path. So we've seen a nation shaped by its rivers, born out of a passionate fight for its own language, and powered by the sheer resilience of its people. From the poetry of its rivers to the power of its modern economy, the story of Bangladesh is just an incredible transformation. And that leaves us with one big question. For a nation that has come so far, against all odds, what will its next chapter be?